headed to the gym right now. Wanted to do a little pre-gym car talk on the ride over. Talk a little bit about the inner child and what that's caused in your life. The child inside of you, if you can think back to as young as you can remember, what did you want out of life? What made you feel things? What made you excited? What pushed you and what drove you to try new things? It's those desires that we have from being a child, those desires to chase the things that make us feel good. And it starts out as simple as playing with your toy cars, playing with your Barbies, wanting to go to the play place in the McDonald's because that's fun for you. Chasing that dopamine, really. It starts out as being a kid and you're chasing that dopamine and you're chasing that feeling. What does it turn into when you get older? And I don't think everybody's the same way with this. I think some people are more naturally balanced when it comes to chasing dopamine, chasing those feelings. But I think a lot of us, from moment one, I don't want to say cursed, but we were cursed to feel that we have to always chase something. And I think that relates to a bigger idea of, being successful. I think the people that always had that feeling when they were young that they had to chase the next thing, that they, those desires came so strong for you. I believe it relates to the idea that later in life you're meant to be more than just average. You're meant to be pushing yourself. You're meant to be chasing the things that nobody else is. But that can turn into a problematic thing if it's not directed in the right way. So if you're chasing that feeling but you're not directing it towards your passion, your goals in life, your job, your career, if you're not directing that passion towards, going to the gym, staying fit, taking care of your hygiene, doing the good things that you're supposed to do for yourself, you can end up taking all that energy and desire and pushing it towards the things that are bad for you, because those also give you a dopamine hit, right? So when you do drugs or, you drink or you do bad habits, you sit there and doom scroll on your phone, you do whatever, those things are bad for you, right? And we can easily, I say we as in we, the people that relate to this idea, we can very easily get caught up in the wrong thing. And all the while we can feel like we're not doing anything too bad, we're not doing anything too harmful, we're just having a little bit of fun, right? But at what point does that change? How long can you just have a little fun before all of a sudden your friends and family are worried for you, and you're running out of money because you have a shopping addiction, you have a drug addiction, you're spending all the money that you have on everything. Where does that come to a head? Where does that come to be a problem? And you got to see that for yourself. And a lot of us can get lost in that. We can spend our whole lives chasing addictions that aren't really good for us. How do you change that into a good addiction, right? How do you focus on chasing the things that are good for you and continue to give you that dopamine response and that flow state of chasing your desires? I think it relates to finding a purpose, and I've felt so purposeless for such a long time. I've had no idea what I really wanted to do, what I was trying to chase. And I had all this pent up pressure in me, ready to chase anything I wanted, like I was so ready to chase something, but I didn't have anything that I thought I should chase. I didn't have anything that was good for me to chase, I ended up chasing the wrong things, and I tore myself down through a spiral of just shit upon shit. I was addicted to about everything bad you could think of at one point or another, and it tore my life down. It took everything that I thought I had away from me. On a side note, I guess differently, now I realize that I'm right where I'm supposed to be. I'm right where I need to be in order to gain the life that I want going forward from here. So I had to lose everything that I lost. I had had to go down the rabbit holes that I went down. But I don't think everybody has to. And I think if you can catch it earlier, if you can think of why you're chasing what you're chasing. Why do you want to go out to the bar with your friends every weekend so bad when the next day you wake up and you feel bad about it? Why do you want to go buy more of that drug when as soon as you're out of it, as soon as you're done, you feel bad? You feel like you wish you didn't, and you tell yourself, oh, I fucked up again. We keep chasing those feelings, and we keep, doing ourselves wrong in that way because we don't have purpose. We don't have something to chase. We don't have a thing that drives us, a goal that pushes us, And purposeless people can really, really get lost in the rabbit hole. You're chasing down the rabbit hole of just cheap, quick dopamine. You're doing yourself wrong. You're hurting yourself. But how do we begin to find what we want to find? And that's something I'm still struggling with. Right now, I believe the purpose I'm chasing is, making these videos and, focusing on going to the gym and taking care of my body so that I can be a figure for people to look to. I've spent so long looking at people that inspired me and thinking I wish I could just be like them. And not only just be like them as in do what they do, but also be like them as in make somebody else feel the way that I felt based on seeing what they did, Make somebody else feel like, what, I can do it, You make somebody else feel like they want to chase where I'm at also. It's a cycle. I think we pass down this energy from person to person. When you get a following, when you get famous, you can inspire so many other people, and it can just cause this chain reaction where each person after each person is becoming inspired by the next, and we all grow to do great things. And that's how this world gets better. That's how we grow this world as a whole. We all keep pushing each other and pushing ourselves to become better and become this figure that people can look. Even if you don't want to be famous, even if you don't want to, even if you don't want to be a public figure, what do you want to be a figure to your kids as? How do you want to present yourself to your kids, to your spouse, to, even the people below you in a workplace, the younger kid that just started working with you, or stuff like that. Who do you want to be to those people? Do you want to be somebody who inspires them and, shows them what can be done and, helps them? Or do you want to be cynical? Do you want to, be all bent up about life and hating it? And it's kind of gotten off topic here. We're on the topic of purpose and chasing things that aren't good for you. But I think that rabbit hole was valid to go down there. So back to it. Think about, how are we finding our purpose? How are we finding what inspires us to keep pushing? What is our goals? It took a long time for me to find it, and I'm not sure I even did yet. I'm not sure, and I'm not successful. I'm not all this yet. This is, the first try. But I hope what I'm saying here can relate to somebody, and you can start to feel that within yourself of why am I chasing things? Why do I want to do the things I'm doing? And is it you that really wants it, or is it that sucking dopamine hole in your brain that just wants to chase shit because you don't know what else to chase? So where do we find our purpose? Where do we figure that out? I think in a way you've got to let it come to you. You know what I mean? If you're truly meant for something in this world, it'll come to you. Anything. If you're meant for it in this world, it will come your way, and you will receive it at some point. And it may take longer for some people, and it may be shorter for some people. I feel behind. I really do. I'm 23, and I feel like I've missed so much. I feel like I just wasted away what my 18-year-old self had the power to do. And it's not true. It's not. It's just a feeling that you get. I believe, just the other night I seen somebody who said the same thing of feeling like they've wasted their life, and they're only 20 something. And my first thought towards them was, no, you didn't. Come on, man. My first thought towards them was, come on, you've got so much left to live. You're not even close. You're just at the start. But why can't I feel that for myself? Why can't I hold those feelings for myself and tell myself, yeah, you're not where you wanted to be. That's okay. You've got time, So I think a big step in that finding purpose thing is, first and foremost, be easy on yourself. Don't get too caught up in feeling like you're missing it, like you're running out of time. Live every day like it's your last, but every day isn't your last. You're not running out of time. You've got so much more time to come, man. I mean, statistically, how old are you going to actually age to be? Based on the life expectancy and, the risks you take in your life, what's the probability of you dying, say, before 50 years old? Even that. Even if you only live to 50. You're 25, you've got 25 more years of it. You're not running out of time, man. And you got to start with that. First off, you got to remind yourself you're not running out of time. And I feel like I'm talking to myself right now. I've got to keep convincing myself of this. So first and foremost, you're being conscious of yourself and being easy on yourself. Don't get too angsty thinking you're running out of time. Don't get too tight wound thinking that you're missing it. You're not. You're never going to miss what's meant for you, man. It's going to come to you at the time it's meant to come to you. So we'll move on from there to step 2. It's not a step-by-step guide, but I'm just going in layers here. So first and foremost, be a little easier on yourself. Second off, wait for it. Wait for it to come to you. And not just sit on your ass and wait. It's not going to show up at your front door. But don't get too caught up in trying to figure out what it is you need to chase. It's not... You can't just find it. You can't just all of a sudden decide you're going to find the thing you want to chase. It's going to come to you in time. So in that meantime, step 2, what we're going to be doing is doing things that are good for yourself in that meantime, right? Even as simple as your hygiene. You may think you take good care of yourself, but do you really? If you think about it, how much of your hygiene routine are you kind of rushing through? Just get it done, get it out of the way for the day. Just take a shower. You have room to improve. Even if you are hitting those boxes already, you have room to improve. And the more and more you do that, the closer you get to where you need to be, man. Yeah, going to the gym. If you think, if you're a person who doesn't go to the gym at all and you think you should go a little bit, go a little bit. If you're a person who goes a little bit, thinks you should go more, go more. It comes from this cycle of just making little things better and better, each by each, one by one, making each little thing better for yourself. Those little wins are what's going to keep you pushing. It's the thrill of the chase, So when you don't even have your purpose yet that you're chasing, you got to get caught up in the thrill of the chase of anything else, right? So naturally, you're going to get caught up in the thrill of the chase if you're that type of person. So you got to manage what you're chasing. So take those, impulses, take that energy you've got in you and put it towards just little by little making everything better for yourself. Buy better soap for the shower that exfoliates you better. So when you come out, you feel like you're, feel like you got a peppermint asshole. You are clean as fucking could be. Go to the gym and lift harder. If you feel like you're not really growing a lot and you're not super sore, add some extra sets, push harder, do these little things in the ways that actually push you to be better. Stack these things up over time and you're gonna forget what you used to be. You need to take before and after pictures, not just pictures of your body, but mental pictures of who you were and what you thought about at that time and what you think about now. It changes, and it changes even faster when you start doing things to better yourself. Every day, just these little things, bettering. You keep chasing those, and all of a sudden you're going to look back and go, who the fuck am I? Not in a bad way. You're going to look back and go, who have I become? I don't even look like myself anymore. I don't even sound like myself anymore. I'm a different person. Always forward progress, you know. You may slip back a little bit, but that just means you need to take 2 steps forward tomorrow. You know, don't punish yourself, but take steps forward no matter what. Even if there's steps back, take steps forward. Keep pushing. You know, and that, I believe that cycle is what's going to lead you to that purpose you're chasing. I believe that cycle of constantly getting better will always lead you to that purpose you're trying to find. And it's trying to find you too. Don't worry. Whatever you're meant for that's out there is coming your way as fast as you're going its way. You do those little things day by day that make you feel better. You feel better about yourself. And when you feel better about yourself and you've got that confidence, when that opportunity comes for that thing that you're chasing, you're going to jump at it because you're proud of yourself and you're confident and you know that you have the ability to. You know, think about if, 90 days from now, if your purpose, you don't even know what it is, but 90 days from now, that purpose is going to come crashing into your life. How prepared are you for it? Do you feel like you could take on a whole new lifestyle, a whole new purpose out of nowhere? Because if you're just sitting in your bed all day doing nothing, playing video games, smoking pot, not against smoking pot, but it makes you poor and gay. Togi told us it's not rocket science. But if you're not doing anything to better yourself, and you're not keeping yourself pushing to be better and be stronger and be more capable, then when that purpose comes crashing into your life, you're gonna throw it away. It's gonna show up on your doorstep and you're not gonna be ready to accept it. And that's the shit that's gonna fucking get you. It's not about knowing what your purpose is now and all that. It's about setting yourself up so that if that purpose shows up on your doorstep, you can let it in. If 90 days from now, all of a sudden, the thing I'm meant to do in my life shows up right in front of me, am I in the best possible shape to handle it? Am I mentally in the best state I can be to handle it? And I can't sit here and talk like I'm some successful guy who's got it all together, and I think that's the caveat, and that's why I think that's why it's important for me to make these videos. I don't think that I'm some godlike figure that can tell you how to do everything perfectly and make everything perfect for you. I'm somebody who is also a work in progress. I'm somebody who is also struggling, I guess, struggling to figure out where I'm going, struggling to figure out my purpose and make it somewhere. I'm also somebody who's struggling in ways. I'm also somebody who's trying to make it to where I want to be. I'm somebody who's also trying to find purpose. And I think, all these people that have all these great lives and all this money and everything that you think you want, they can tell you how to do it, right? They can tell you what got them there. But it doesn't click to you, And everybody always says, don't take advice from somebody that isn't in the shoes that you want to be in. So you think, all right, well, whose shoes do I want to be in? And you look at your favorite influencer and you see the life they live and the money they make and, their special interest, their hobby, or their, career is what you like to do too. If it's a skateboarder, if it's a weightlifter, if it's a, musician. So you think to look to them and just follow what they say they did, listen to their advice. And yes, that's true, but it doesn't register to us. It doesn't register to me, at least, as much as, most people might think. What registers is somebody who's on that path too. Somebody who's right there on that path next to you, making the same steps and missteps as you along the way. That's what makes it feel comfortable. That's what makes it feel accessible. Because when you look at these people who've got it all together, you can get this idea in your head that they're better than you and that you can't achieve what they can achieve. You can achieve what I've achieved. You can get to where I'm at exactly with hardly any effort. That's what's going to make you feel relatable. That's what's going to make you feel like you can do the same things that I do, even if the things I do aren't particularly, crazy or great. Oh no, when I post these videos, when I'm saying all this stuff I'm saying, it's not out of a place of I did it, now do what I did. It's out of a place of I'm on this path too. I'm trying to figure this out just as much as you are. You may even be further ahead of me. You may have already found a purpose. You may have found a business that you've started. You're starting to make some capital, but it doesn't mean that things I'm saying don't mean nothing, right? Run through a little recap, and then I'm going to go in and hit a workout because I'm just babbling here. This is the first video like this, and I'm going to have to do a lot of editing and chopping this up and making it, pretty for everybody else, because I'm so conscious of everybody saying Sir Yaps a lot here needs to fucking shut up. But I guess if you're watching this video, you didn't tell me to shut up, right? You're here watching, you're seeing this, so even right there, man, you're seeing me personally going through these struggles, this imposter syndrome, whatever, I guess that's not the right word. I'm not like famous like that, but seeing me feel these same things that you would feel. You decided to make a video like this, you would feel the same thing. You would pick through it and pick all the bad things and, watch yourself so closely thinking that everyone else is. Nobody cares, and I'm learning that, and I'm hoping you can learn that alongside me, and that's what's going to really cause growth for both of us. Recap, step 1, don't be too hard on yourself. Don't feel like you're wasting your life or you have wasted it. Just be comfortable with where you're at, and don't get mad at yourself. Don't get too wound up. Step 2, do something every day that makes you better. Do something as much as you can that makes you better. Even if you're walking down a sidewalk, you see a piece of trash on the floor, throw it in the nearest bin. Do little things that you would want to see yourself do. Do you want to be a really good person like that somebody you would look at and go, wow, he's a good person. He stops and picks stuff up and throws it in the trash because he doesn't want the world to be littered. Little things like that. Is that the type of person you want to be? So do it. Don't push that off, and don't tell yourself that, nah, that's not me, man. You can be whatever you want to be. So take those little steps towards doing something better for yourself every day. Do something that you would want your future self to do without even thinking, because that's how you get to it. You do these little things with conscious effort, and over time it becomes habit. Over time it becomes just who you are. It's just what you do. You're just that guy that picks up a piece of trash and throws it away because you're that type of a good person, Step 3, be prepared for it to find you. Be prepared for that purpose to come crashing into your life with no pause, no waiting, no hold. That purpose is going to come crashing into your life, and you're not going to know what to do unless you've been preparing for it. So prepare for it. Make yourself now into the person you want to be when your purpose comes crashing at you. Be the person you want to look like when you open that door to your purpose and let it in. What do you want to look like on the other side of that? Work every day to make yourself that. And that's about all I can say. A lot of this video might get cut out. This might just go straight up unedited. I might have to cut a few of these ums out because they're taking a little too long. But let's skip on over to another thought. Let's talk about what we're doing in the gym today. So, bottle's leaking. So, in the gym today, I really want to get some pull-ups in. I don't do pull-ups a lot, just straight pull-ups. I'd like to be more capable of doing pull-ups. I've never really been able to do a lot of them. So, we're going to go in there, warm up with some pull-downs, just get those muscles firing, and then I'm going to go straight on to try some pull-ups. I'm going to see how many I can get done. If I can get a good set, do a couple sets of them. If I can't, we'll go on the assisted, and we'll work our way up to it. But that's a goal for me today. I want to do pull-ups. That's my one thing better to do for today. That's my one thing that I want to be. I want to be a guy who can just rip 20 pull-ups. You're not going to do that if you don't start. So we're going to go with that. It is back day, so we're going to hit a little bit of pull downs, warm up, then go right over, hit some pull-ups. And then after that, I think we're going to go more lat focused. I've been hitting a lot of my back days as more upper back focused because I like that shelf across here. I like the look of that, but my lats are kind of falling behind. So And we're gonna go for pull-ups and then some really lat-focused movements. Guess we'll talk in the car after and get a little pump check going too. Little segment here right after the gym. Pulling out right now. Just finished up good back day. I did hit some pull-ups like I was expecting to. I was able to get about 5. I can't remember. There's a video of it. I was able to get about 5 regular pull-ups, and then I went over to the assisted machine and just kept repping them out, using about 20 to 40 pounds of assistance. Felt pretty good there, and then went over, hammered some single side hammer strength lat rows, and then hit the upper back, I guess straight row on the hammer strength machine next to it. It's a pretty good workout. I mean, not much to complain about. Gym was nice and empty when I first got in there, so I was able to film a few clips without getting in anybody's way. A lot of freaks in there today, not in a bad way. I mean, these people go hard. seen quite a few guys in there at this gym so far that they're pushing it. They're pushing themselves, and it's good to see. You know, it keeps my hype up. It keeps me going, and I think we all work together to push each other to go a little bit harder every day. You know, and I like that. I think that's a big part of the community. When you go to an actual gym, you know, working out at home is awesome. I've done it. Nothing against it, but when you're just in that environment, you know, when you're at home, there's more than one thing you do at your house. You know, you relax at your house, you eat at your house, you know, do your hobbies at your house. So working out there may not feel as intense in a certain way. I guess when you go to a gym, that's what that place is for, you know. That is the one purpose of that building, of that place, is to go hard and, you know, get into it. So if you're there and you're not going hard and getting into it, I mean, you just feel out of place. You know, you don't feel right. So, you know, realistically, if you're having trouble with that drive, with that push, and you can afford it and you can manage it, you know, try going to an actual gym. You know, forget about the being self-conscious, anything like that. You know, anybody who's a half decent gym goer isn't going to look at anybody with judgment. You know, everybody's there doing the same thing. If you can manage it, man, get in to that gym physically and get around those people that are going hard. You know, and even if the people around you in that gym aren't going hard, maybe you're the one going the hardest. You know, maybe you're the one that's showing everybody up, and that might feel good to you too. You know, if you can be the one person in that gym that's, you know, going harder than everybody else, that might even be enough to boost you, you know. I'll be damned, we're almost out of gas. So, making a little turnaround, lost my train of thought. But, as I was saying, I think, I remember what I was saying. You know, getting into that gym with the other people there it might change it for you, you know what I mean? It might change your whole feeling of your workout. Maybe for the worse, you know, it might not be for you, it might throw you off a little bit. Maybe you like to be in solitude, you know, head down, music blaring in your own world, literally in your own world with nobody else there to see it. But, I mean, something about getting around those other people, you know, if they are going harder than you, it's going to push you. And if you're the one that's going harder than everybody else, well, goddamn it, it's going to feel good, right? So, just a little thing to think on, all right? Other than that, I mean, we'll run the little pump check in there and we'll see what kind of action we have going on. That man just threw the lid of the garbage can right fucking in front of me. Like, sir, I'm trying to get gas. This is a gas station. But, I mean, not much more to talk about. We'll throw the pump check in and alright, y'all, back in the car. We just got some gas. It's fucking cold. Holy shit. So, wanted to finish up that last little clip a little better. So,